Hi, how's it going? This is Resident of Collinwood for YouTube. I'm back with a video for you guys. This is my third true crime video. This is about Ed Gein. He was born Edward Theodore Gein. He was born August 27th, 1906. He died July 26th, 1984. Also known as the Butcher of Plainsfield or the Plainfield Ghoul, was an American murderer and body snatcher. Gein's crimes committed around his hometown of Plainfield, Wisconsin, gathered widespread notoriety in 1957 after authorities discovered he had exhumed corpses from local graveyards and fashioned trophies and keepsakes from their bodies and skin. Ginn also confessed to killing two women, tavern owner Mary Hogan in 1954 and hardware store owner Bernice Wooden, in 1957. Ginn, sorry, I'm reading some of this from Wikipedia, but the rest I'll do myself. Ginn was initially found unfit to stand trial. I'm going to get into that. And confined to a mental health facility by 1968. He was judged competent to stand trial. Yep. So by 1968, he was found competent to stand trial and was found guilty of the murder of Warden, Warden, sorry. But he was found legally insane and was remanded to a psychiatric institution. He died at Mendoza Mental Health Institute of respiratory failure on July 26, 1984, age 77. He is buried next to his family in the Plainsfield Cemetery in a now unmarked grave. Let me say something. Yeah, sorry about that. Let me say something. I I don't like this case for one specific reason. And Ed Gein was from a very small town, okay? Sort of like Michael Myers, sort of like Freddy Krueger. I really think this is where a lot of our horror masters got some of their killers from, or at least portions of ideas from. The most, and I'll get into that too, by the way. My big issue is the townspeople, and this you can find this on YouTube or wherever you like, but I'll leave a link where you can go find this at. The townspeople, when interviewed about Ginn, referred to him as a village freak or the village idiot, or he was like a hermit. Okay, but yet Ginn, they also said Ginn would ask. So he would go into town. He would ask when funerals were. He would find out when they were. Okay, if you're saying that Ginn is the village idiot so easily, don't you think he's heard them say that about him? Don't you think he heard that said? This here is what makes me think Ed Gein had nothing mentally wrong with him. Simple for the simple reason of this. Number one, he's asking when funerals are. He's consciously asking this. What do you think he's asking it for? Like, because I could see if he was related to somebody or knew him, especially knew him, but he couldn't have known every person that died. He wants to dig them up and take their skin and their stuff. It's so messed up, this story, or this crime, really. What's really messed up is, to me, Ed Gein played the system. He played the system. And It's really sick because to me, he knew what those townspeople were saying about him. And did he only kill two people? Yeah. According to the coroner, he did only kill two people. He dug up dead bodies. He used this gun. Now, Ed Gein, there's been no serial killer, or really murderer, I should say. He's not a serial killer, he's a murderer. There's been no murderer used more than Ed Gein in horror movies. The guy that wrote the book Psycho was from Wisconsin, by the way. And that would go on to be one of the biggest movies ever made. So Norman Bates was inspired by Ed Gein. Most people know this, by the way. Because Ed Gein's mother's room was like kept in pristine condition. Also, you know, we know that Norman Bates did dig up bodies. Also, he's not the only one. When you look at the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Sawyer family dug up bodies. So the Sawyer family dug up the bodies. Leatherface would wear a skin mask. Leather Ed Gein had skin on his lamps and stuff like that. So not only were the Sawyer family, but Leatherface was inspired by Ed Gein. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre takes a lot from Ed Gein. Jason Voorhees' mother's head was kept in a shrine, on a shrine. Sort of like Ed Gein. Also, Ed Gein said something when he was in the mental institution. He said that when it was a full moon, it would really set him off. In Friday the 13th, in every one of them, they used the full moon as a premise. Um, so there's that. I do think Friday the 13th takes more from Ed Gein than what people like to think. Uh, Let me see. The Wild Bill from Silence of the Lambs. He was basically taken from Ed Gein pretty much. Um, Look, there's again, and I really honestly, they also said when he was in mental institution, he would just look out the window. Michael Myers just stared at the wall. I do think Ed Gein, look, he to me, he inspired more horror, not just for the older generation, but for what would be our generation of horror. What would be the late 70s and early 80s. Um, I can't now. I can now. Here's the thing. I do think secretly Billy from Black Christmas has a touch of Ed Gein because he says about his mother over the phone to the one girl. By the way, Ed Gein had said about his mother how his mother would tell him women were evil and shit. So I do think there's something to that a bit. Not totally, not completely. I don't think that eh, Billy is completely taken from Ed Gein, but I think somewhat of it is taken from him. But again, Ed Gein inspired a lot of horror. Um, no, does he deserve credit for that? Um, Pretty much, he sort of does. I mean, they got that inspiration from him. I mean, he was one sick dude. When I say sick, I don't mean he was mentally ill. I mean what he did was mentally wrong. What he did was really more morally wrong than anything else. And I don't buy that he didn't know he was doing it. I don't buy that he didn't understand. I think Edward Theodore again played the system. Now he didn't get away with it really. He spent the rest of his days in a mental institution, but you know, again, to me, he played the system. In my opinion, that's just my opinion. If you disagree, you can. I'll leave a link to a video below. I hope you guys enjoy this video. I got one more video to do.